That's the story you really want to tell? So that's the story you really going to... No, hold on real quick. I said that because you said a woman trapped you. So sarcastically, I said, oh, she raped you?
Right.
And then you said yes.
You know what? A man can never be a damsel in distress, because at the end of the day, we're supposed to be masculine. We're not supposed to have feelings. But in the whole light of the situation, when we had the pre-conversation about kids, I didn't want to have kids at that time.
So here's the deal. Okay, if you don't want to have kids at times, then your responsibility is A, you don't have sex with her because you don't want to have kids. B, you wear a condom to protect yourself from having kids. And then we can have the grown folks. There is a grown folks pull-out game. So my thing is, regardless of what she said, you are still a man that has to take accountability for participating in the act. You on record denied that.
We can rewind the video, love. I've already taken accountability for the whole issue of it.
So let's on record deny that you were because you was not raped.
Oh my God.
In any, I'll just say in any woman's eyes, no. But if I was to talk to a group of men and tell them what happened, it didn't happen to several dudes. We just don't talk about it. These are like stories we don't tell. Crip stories we just don't tell. But at the end of the day, my perception is my perception of what really happened. Only I and the person that had the child that up and decided to be a single mother, because a lot of times, you don't understand, if there are women striving out here to be single mothers, they do not want men in the picture.
Dan, listen, hold on real quick.
What's that?
I'm not disagreeing with her intentions, right? Maybe her intentions were to get pregnant by you, to stay in America. There's no disagreement there. The intentions of what you're describing could very well be true. The disagreement is you claiming to have been raped. Like, that's the disagreement.
Discrepancy wise, so I can give you so we can move on. I got drunk off my own supply of wine that I made, that I squished with my hands. You serve me wine, you force it down my throat, I get drunk. Now, every woman's story is if they get drunk and they get instantly, the man is guilty. He goes to jail, lock away the key in the chamber of secrets.
That's true.
Like I said,
that was
in
funny
America,
too.
Realistically, that will never be the man's narrative, and that's why. Hold on, let me finish. That's why
I'm not gonna let you finish because I'm gonna let you finish, but I'm jumping in.
Oh my God!
You are telling the wrong story. When those women are using the example of they have passed out. Right? So these are women that if they were drugged, they will say that they were not even coherent in the act of sex. I
wasn't coherent.
No, you are coherent because you told me exactly what happened. You told me she was on top of you. You told me that.
I told you I was on top of her. She put her legs around me.
Either way, you are telling me exactly what happened in the sexual activity. So you were not. You were
trying to win an argument about this.
Use that as an example. And conscious, only thing you can say is if you don't remember nothing, and then that will still be hard because then it'll be like, how did you have an erection? But long story short, you cannot compare yourself to women who have been drugged because these women don't remember anything. You can recite
quote unquote, Kendra don't remember anything. Anybody can wake up from consciousness during the act of something and completely fall back asleep. And when you go to court, like I said, it's her word against mine. Hey, I'm not here to stir no pot. I'm not on here to stir the Yah Sisterhood, Traveling Pants Club. We ain't here to do none of that. We just here to see if there's any honest women out here that can understand their brother's situation, because there's a lot of other brothers have been through the same thing I have. And I could be a bitter baby daddy, and I could be bashing her all over the world like most men would, but I don't have time to do that. I'm a progressive male. I done moved on with my life. She didn't got a whole nother man and is doing what she doing. So for me, we can all we can do is be adults about any situation and move past it. If we can't work what we got out, move past
it. Babe, we're gonna move forward with the interview, but I'm gonna be honest with you. Only a goofy woman is gonna reach out to you. So just so when you were talking about, you gotta understand that type of woman is gonna hit you up. Any woman with any sense is gonna look at what you're saying about your ex and the child's mother and try to consider that as like, what the hell are you talking about?
Right. And this is why certain words we just don't say. So jokingly, it was a joke to you. Wasn't a joke to me. I never laughed once about the issue. But nevertheless, you wanted to know more information about it. I have nothing to hide in this world. That's between me and God at the end of the day.
Well, so I want to say this again. How I got there was because you said you were taken advantage of. That's why That's why I said that, and then we went down this whole rabbit hole. I would have never said that
It's
if you didn't claim to have been taken advantage of.
I honestly don't feel like it's neither near here nor relevant to my decision making and how I conduct myself now. That was then, that this is now, this is present day. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what more you could really want from me in that particular situation. Whether I get a goofy woman or not, I think everybody is goofy until proven not goofy. So
okay, fair enough. We got Daniel.
I'm gonna tell y'all, there's a reason why that's.
I hope Corey Holcomb gets a hold of her ass, dude. She's a goddamn clown. Now look, let me say this: just because the man has a nervous laugh doesn't mean what he's saying is not true. Doesn't mean what he's saying is not true. And the fact that she interrogated that man like he was in a court case right then and there, like he was in an interrogation room right then. She would not do a woman like that if she was a victim. But she off the rip sit there and just diminish everything he said. And even, I think somebody said, well, if you know, even if he does know the woman, you know, for 20 years, doesn't mean it didn't happen. Doesn't mean it didn't happen. So, yeah, that nothing about this shit ain't right, man. I hope she gets whatever backlash she gets from this shit. She deserves every bit of that smoke, man. This is terrible. I said it before, Sweeney, you fought me against. They don't give a goddamn about us. And when I say that bullshit, I mean it to the fucking bottom of my goddamn heart. They don't give a goddamn about our black asses.
She was wrong. I'm shocked she said that. That was hard to watch because I don't know how I could tell like he had a problem, and I don't know how she would respond like that. I don't agree with what she said, how she did him, and there were so many opportunities for her to shut up and stop saying what she was saying, and she was doubled down on it. So hopefully women and men hold her accountable for what she did, because you shouldn't talk to nobody like that. And
Yeah,
I thought I
kind
could
of
tell
violent.
he was being playful at the beginning, but I know sometimes I know sometimes people react a certain way when they talk about certain things. It's like a coping mechanism. So it did make me think, okay, he could be making this up, but even if he is making it up, the way he doubled down on it, it's like it would make more sense for her to just stop talking about it than to say he could only be around goofy women. Or just everything she said was crazy. I don't have no excuse for that. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seemed kind of violent.
Oh my God. That was, I'm not gonna lie, that was violent. That felt like it was some stuff she said that hit my core. Why it did feel violent. I'm not gonna argue against that. That was definitely salacious to do to somebody on a TV broad, whatever she had. That was fucked up to do, and it wasn't physically violent, but it felt violent for her to treat him that way. You see how people can be honest about certain situations and not take offense to it. Let's all try that.
If y'all notice, there's a reason why her video was taken, why she took the video down. There's a reason for it. It's because the way that she spoke to him. You say that to any woman who comes up and says they were a victim of something, it's hell and high water. What she said to him, oh, well, your thing wouldn't have got hard if you, like, you're not a victim because you was hard. You're not a victim. And even when she was talking about the whole drinking thing, and she said, no, these women were saying that they were passed out. No, they say they blacked out. In other words, they don't remember what happened the night before. And you know how, and a guy can say, oh no, she was participating. And she said, I don't remember. And then another thing that she said, oh, you're not a victim because you remember everything that happened to you. If like we know from experience that if a man came to a woman and told her, hey, no, ain't no way you blacked out, because ain't no way you don't remember you are a victim, and that you because you remember everything that happened to you. So because you remember everything that happened to you, you can't possibly be a victim. You had to have been a willing participant. I would say the question is what like Somebody comes up, all right, if you walk the conversation down, right? He says I was taken advantage of. He was like, yeah, you know how these women are. They try to take advantage of you. She said, oh, so you're saying that you were great. And what he was trying to do, what he was saying was, to most people, I guess if you look at society, I can't say that I was. He even said, he was like, technically, I can't say that I was because most people wouldn't take it serious. That's what he was trying to say. But he was trying to move on. He was like, yeah, either way, let's just move on. No, then she tried to interrogate him because at that point, she didn't see him as a victim. And so she started interrogating him and pushing and pushing and pushing. And what she was basically trying to do was get him to admit, you were not great. Tell the world that you weren't great. And that's wrong. Nobody, if a woman came up here, whether we believe her or not, you don't do that to someone. In that regard.
Would you say that it was the tone of her questioning? Was it the line of questioning, or was it just everything in total? I mean, for sure, we can agree that with it being done on this live show, that of course is right on top. So is the line of questioning her dismissiveness, or even because she's a woman making these statements or questions, do any of those play a factor?
Yeah, I think like you said, it was everything encompassed in that conversation. That's what triggered everybody. You know what I mean? Because it was the way she questioned them, the way she dismissed them. Then, she started making excuses. Here's the reality. I think True is absolutely right. Somebody can tell you they're going to rob you, and you walk down that alley and they say, I'm going to rob you when you walk down the alley, and that person robs you, you can say that person was a goofy. Absolutely true. However, that doesn't make the person who did the robbery not a robber. You would still punish the person that was there. So if let's assume that him and that woman were in the room with her, right? And he said everything that he said, and the woman said, yep, I wrapped my legs around him and made sure he couldn't get up before he nutted. Is she gonna then look at that woman and say, you're not a criminal, you're not a rapist. I understand that he was trying to get away from you. Ain't no rapist. That fool is just a goofy. No, you would sit there and say, hey, yeah, you raped him.
Wait, so where I'm torn with it, and where I agreed, I kind of questioned it the same with Kendra in the beginning. So if he was only raped up until the point that she didn't release her legs from around him.
Right. Once he tried to pull away and say he didn't want to, and then she wrapped her legs around him and held him into position until he released. And then that's when he said, all right, well, I'm about to just, after that part happened, he said, we're going to get a plan B. And she said, no. Now, but that part right there specifically, let's assume that he's telling the truth, that she wrapped her legs around him and refused to let him go until he released. That's great. Straight up, no chaser.
So, all right, I got a quick question to the fellas on the panel, and not to get too personal, but fellas, how many of us have experienced that with a woman?
Experience what?
A woman wrapping her legs around you when you're about to, finish
a climax.
Of course.
Yeah, but I didn't want to get up, so it didn't matter though.
Right. There's a difference where you don't want to get up. If you let her wrap her legs around you, you all up in there and you enjoying it, that's different. But if you say,
right, so in the moment it was okay, but then once he realized that this chick was only there to trap him for a baby, now I'm great.
No, what he said was that he wasn't at the moment.
It's still, even him trying to get up, just like him saying no. That's the same thing without saying it. He's saying, if I'm trying to get up, get away from you, I'm pretty much telling you, stop. I don't think we need to go no further. Same thing a woman is saying to me if she pushes me off of him. And I refuse to get off of her.
That's
Same
where
thing.
I think
He's just not saying the words. But you got to respect it. Allow it to. Allow the man to get up and go. If that's what he's gonna do, that's what he's gonna do. But she didn't do that. So yeah, did it get to the point? Yeah, maybe it was into the act. That's why we sit there and say, well, once you get started, a person can't tell you no. Yes, they can. Yes, they can. They can't stop in the middle of the situation. Doesn't matter. I taught my son. I said, if a woman tells you no, even if you're in the mid-act, get the hell out of there. I don't care if she said, well, I changed my mind. Leave, get the hell on up out of there. Don't go back. And I would have nothing else to do with the woman. I don't care how nice looking she is or nice she is. Don't have nothing, because first of all, to me, you're playing mental games with me. And I don't have time for that. I don't know your true agenda, because first it was cool when we were doing it. Now you're telling me no. And now you tell me come back. No, I'm good. Because I don't know if you trying to do something different. And I'm not trying to get caught up. So I would never tell no man to stay in that situation. If he wanted to get up, she should have let that man get up and go on about his business, regardless of what the situation was.
And that's why I say it gets a little slippery for me, because, no pun intended, what's the rules of engagement? I get it. In a most logical, the most respectful, the most ideal situation, like Viz said, we've all been in that situation. The exchange is happening. The lady wraps her legs around you. But I think we're missing the fact that he immediately, upon him recalling the event, so we're going to do a plan B. So he acted on what was occurring, which I don't know if I can put myself in a frame of mind that he was he was a victim in the exchange from her to him. So he followed through with the act, biologically, then tried to catch it on the back end by saying, we're going to do the plan B, right? It doesn't make sense to me. He put himself in the situation from the jump, from the start, from everything, from the alcohol to the act to if a man don't want something to happen to him, in my opinion, especially if it's a woman, exchange, in that exchange, I think there's some things that could be done. But I do also understand you're vulnerable. Things is flowing. That's why I don't see him as a victim, in my opinion.
To kind of paint the picture, right? So when a man is climaxing, I guess
no more pain, bro.
Like at that point, he probably at his weakest part, right? If he's about to climb back to get up, and then them legs clamp down on you, then it's too late. So I'm wondering if after the act, he accepted accountability, he put himself in the situation, and then the only result at this point might be a plan B, because now it already happened. So I'm wondering if it's one of those things, because. And I get what y'all saying, because I agree. Don't put yourself in a situation because it's risky and there's a possibility. But I'm thinking when it's flipped, when it's the other way around, like Hink said, if a man does it, because I'm pretty sure that if you have been active out here, you've been in a situation where you may start something, you may get somewhere, never got the chance to climax because she said, I can't do this, I don't want to do this. But if you would have remained inside, then how would that be looked at? So I think this is an interesting conversation, because this may be able to help somebody, especially in the town we in right now, because it's going to be your word against their word.